welcome everyone to this first podcast sponsored by the Port Arthur International Seafarers Center in order to celebrate National Maritime Week, which will be National Maritime Day will be this Friday, May 22nd. Begun by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 1930s, it is the annual time in which our country pays respect for the service, the action, and the courage of the U.S. Merchant Marine. I want to thank in a very special way the Port of Port Arthur, which is a sponsor for this 5-part podcast series, as well as supporters like the Nautical Institute Gulf Branch, Houston, Council of American Master Mariners, both the Texas Maritime Academy's chapter, as well as the Houston chapter, the Propeller Club of Sabine-Neches, as well as RightShips, Apostleship of the Sea of the United States of America, West Gulf Maritime Association, as well as Apostleship of the Sea, Diocese of Beaumont, and the Port Arthur International Seafarers Center. Port Arthur used to be, in Southeast Texas, was a significant maritime labor center. Literally hundreds of men and women in Port Arthur worked on the boats, whether they were the deep sea fleets like for the Texaco, Gulf, pure oil fleets, or whether it was the inland towing with Sabine Towing, Picton Towing, Port Arthur Towing, and even today Port Neches Towing. These companies offered jobs and opportunities for merchant mariners. And so one could walk down the street, just down the street from here to the National Maritime Union Hall as a college student and get a summer job, or out of high school, go and register with the National Maritime Union or the Seafarers Union when they had their hall here in Port Arthur, and start sailing, first as a wiper or ordinary seaman or maybe steward's assistant, and then later moving up in that rank. And in fact, we've had examples. The captain of the Texaco, Mississippi, began as a wiper on the ship and finished by being the master of the vessel when it was eventually taken and scrapped at that point. So the possibility in the maritime career is to literally begin at the bottom and end at the very, very top, at the very top level that we see with our bar pilots who guide the ships in. So maritime opportunity is really good, but where we had so many doors back in the 60s and 70s that someone could enter into the industry, we have seen significant number of those doors being closed. And yet the opportunity for having family wage jobs still persists in the maritime industry. And though we are the 3rd largest maritime center in the United States by tonnage, most of the jobs that are held in the maritime industry are for people who do not live necessarily in the Golden Triangle area. And so we're missing on these job opportunities. And recently, we've had great movement that has taken place that has made the opportunity for young men and women to enter into this industry. And today with me is Captain Chris Horner, who is with the Maritime Training Center at Lamar State College, Orange, and also Kevin Sykes, who is a patrolman with the Seafarers International Union in Houston. And they're going to share with us the opportunities that exist for young men and women who have graduated from high school or with GED, who have their GED, who can go on and begin their maritime career. And as I said, and take it as far as they want to go. So I want to begin also by going to Captain Horner, because I've worked with him and the president of Lamar, the past president of Lamar State College Orange, in order to reintroduce this whole idea of maritime training. So Captain Horner, tell us a little bit about yourself first. How the heck did you get into this industry and where you from? And second, what's going on at Lamar?
Okay, first off, good morning, Father Sinclair, and good morning, Doreen. How you guys been? Haven't seen you in a while. I started my career in the Great Lakes. My dad was a captain up there, and I started out at a very young age, and they would, since I was small enough and smart enough to fix things, they'd send me in places where nobody else could fit, and it was either fix it or he wasn't going to take me home. So I learned how to fix stuff really quick. Back in the day, the maritime industry was a lot rougher and a lot tougher than it is today. And we were allowed to do a lot more things back then than we can today. The safety issues weren't as huge then as they are now, which thank God they are now, because we're trying to help the industry fix a lot of those problems. Like I said, I started out in the Great Lakes and then moved offshore and did offshore towing for a long time, and then came inshore. Now I do inshore towing. I ran ore ships, container ships, push barges, pulled dead ships over, across the seas. I've worked every waterway in the United States that I know of, and I know pretty much all of them. Upper East Coast to Gulf of Alaska, the Gulf of Mexico, the entire intercoastal waterway was Mississippi River system, the Ohio River system, Chicago River, Erie Canal, Chesapeake Bay, all over the place. So I've been a kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to being a captain. Because I always wondered, if you see a boat going down a channel or you see it offshore, it's like, what's it like to run one of those? So I'd go figure out what I had to do or who I had to contact to go get on one of those. I was lucky enough at a fairly young age to achieve my master license, so I could go and do just about anything I wanted to do. So with my unlimited master and my unlimited master of tow, it allowed me to pretty much walk in wherever I want to, and I can go, hey, I want to drive one of those, and they'll let you drive one, which is a lot of fun. I mean, I love being on the water, and being able to handle and operate just about any type of boat out there is really fun to do in my mind. About 10 or 12 years ago, one of my mentors, Bob Russo, the owner of Maritime License Training Company, asked me if I'd join his company and start teaching, because I had a lot of experience to share and spread along, like Bob did with me, my whole career growing up. So I was like, sure, we'll try it out. So he had his main school is out of Jacksonville, Florida, and I'd go over there and teach a course every when I was on my off hitch. And after doing that for a couple of years, he's like, why don't you open a school over in Orange? I'll help you get it going. So we did, and we rented a building at the Port of Orange, and I worked out of it for 7 years, training new mariners. We did 100-ton, 200-ton, French made a tow, a radar, and a couple other courses. And I was invited to consult for Lamar and Orange to help them with their new maritime program. And after consulting for 6 or 8 months, they asked me if I'd come on board full time as the director to help get their program going, pointed in the right direction. And that was in April of 2017. So I've been there just about 3 years now. We have 6 or 7 U.S. Coast Guard approved continuing education courses. We have a coordinating board approved 15 credit hour course, which you can do in one semester if you like. We teach dual credit high school students, which is awesome because we can get them before they have a chance to get in the industry and learn the bad habits that some people, some parts of the industry have a lot of bad habits. They take a lot of shortcuts and things get done wrong, and that's how people get hurt. So if we can get them before they get a chance to get in the industry and teach them the right way to do it, and teach them where the dangers are, how people get hurt and why people get hurt, so they can see that when they start out, we can take most of the injuries and most of the danger out of the maritime industry that everybody swears up and down it's one of the most dangerous industries, which if you don't know what you're doing, it is. But if you understand what the hazards are and what to look for and where not to be, we can avoid that. And the best way of doing that is teaching them young and getting them in the industry to make the industry safer. One of the coolest parts about our program at Lamar Orange is you can actually graduate our program in college before you graduate high school. So the day you walk out of high school, you have the proper credentials that you need and a marketable skill to go to work and earn a living wage and better yourself and better your entire family. And it's a unique opportunity. We're the only, as far as I know, we're the only state college in the country that's doing it the way we're doing it. So, and we're starting to get some the word's starting to finally get out, and we're getting people coming from all over the place. So it's really exciting. The future is looking really good for us.
Well, Chris, I want to pick up on this dual credit aspect, but before that, I want to switch over to Kevin Sykes, because Kevin, as a fellow member of the Seafarers International Union, I've gone up to the Harry Ludberg School a number of times to maintain my documents, to do my standards for training certification, watch keeping, basic safety training, get to play with fire, get to try to get into a life raft. That's always an exciting thing. And those types of things. And so I've come into the school from the outside, but there's a whole apprenticeship program that you guys have developed that for a young man or a woman coming out of high school, this could be a really good opportunity for them to consider.
Right, absolutely. So to give you
Before
some,
you get cranking on that, tell me, how did you get out and go get to sea, and what was your connection to finally get out, and where did you work in the sea?
so my story is a little interesting. So I was a welder by trade, and so things dried up a little bit there. And so I was looking for a new career, and I remember seeing the building which we were located on Pierce Street some time ago. So I just took the initiative, walked into the Union Hall, and I was greeted with open arms. The gentleman at the counter at the time, there was Jimmy White, and Mike Russo was here at the time, and they had given me insight as to what I needed to do to be a part of this industry. And so again, they had provided me with the information of applying to Paul Hall Center for Maritime Training. I did so. After doing so, I applied for my documents, merchant marine credential, twig passport. At the time, I don't think we needed medical certificates at that time. And then after that, I ended up getting accepted at the school. And unbeknownst to me, is I didn't know the school was all inclusive, so I didn't have to pay for room and board. Meals were provided, and it just had given me the tools that I needed to go through the 5 phases, which were typically first phase is vessel familiarity. You're going to be there for 15 weeks. First phase, phase. Second phase, be out on the ship for 90 days working in all 3 departments, which are the deck, steward, and engine department. And just a little bit about what those departments entail is the deck department pretty much be working out on deck, maintaining the ship, going to the bridge, learning navigation, learning watchkeeping, learning your points of contacts, following directive from whether it be the third mate, the first mate, or the captain. The steward department, you work in culinary, so you'd be working with food prep, food preparation, sanitary. It's typically the morale of the ship. Everybody's eager to, find out what they're going to be eating for that day, and so typically that's what the steward department does. And then the engine department is basic upkeep of the engine department, making sure that the engine's running adequately and efficiently. Making sure that it's a clean area and a safe area to work in, and making sure that that ship is ready to go when it needs to. And so that's second phase. And then once you get to third phase, you're going back to Piney Point to pick the department that you want to sail in. So unlike some traditional jobs outside of the maritime industry, it gives you an opportunity to work in all 3 departments and sort of find what your passion is and what you're more inclined to want to do. And then once you know that, then you can pick that department, and then you work towards working to become an entry level once you get to your 4th phase. And so after your 3rd phase, you're going to go to 4th phase, where you'd be on a ship for 120 days. And then so you're working towards your union benefits, your medical, and then still getting the tutelage of what it is to work in your respective department, whether it be deck steward and engine department. And once that part's complete, you'll go back to Piney Point one additional time for 5th phase, to where you upgrade to surpass the entry level, and you become a rated mariner. And it gives you the tools, especially in the deck and the steward department, to find out whether you want to sail in the unlicensed capacity for your career, or to upgrade once you get your 1,080 days to start looking at the licensed capacity. And we cater to that, especially in the deck department, where we facilitate and educate in the AB to MACE program, which has been underway for some time now. And we've had some really good success stories to have unlicensed transition over to the licensed capacity, and to go work for some of the companies, whether it be Crowley, whether it be Seabolt, whether it be G&H and things of that nature. And after so, you typically ship out regularly in your respective department as a rated mariner once you complete those phases for Piney Point. And I'd just like to kind of point out a couple of things about Piney Point too, is we've invested about $18 million over the last 3 years in a new simulator program for the deck guys, and in the engine room as well. And we've just about a year ago, we've ramped up to where the electricians have a refrigerator unit there, a reefer, as they call it, a reefer, on our at the facility now, and also have work modules for the engine guys who are more inclined to want to become electricians at some point in their career. And that's sort of the nutshell of kind of what the school entails, along with we provide an array of benefits. So when you start talking about pension plan for men and or women who have reached their age and their time, they'd be eligible for the pension once they get their 5 years shipping in our industry, and that comes solely from the companies. And then also to kind of piggyback on that, we talk about our Seafarers Money Purchase pension plan, where it's a contribution where the mariners can put money into their savings, as well as the companies put money into it as well. So it's incentivized to know that you're going to be working to get a living wage. That's collective bargaining, so you have a contract to abide by, and that the companies and the union are looking at ways to better ensure the membership to know that, hey, look, there are incentives for yourself and your families to move forward, along with a scholarship that we do every year as well. There's a $20,000 scholarship that we do each year, as well as a $6,000 scholarship for our members and their dependents as well. So I just wanted to make sure that I kind of put all that information out there so that they'll have an idea of what it is that we do and what we're doing moving forward to make sure we can ensure that potential mariners and or tenure mariners have that incentive base.
So Kevin, when you finished Piney Point, where did you work?
Okay. So yeah, where I worked after I finished Piney Point, I worked for Crowley. I worked on the heavy lift vessels, sailed all over the world, sending goods here and there. Tankers for OSG. I worked on tankers for OSG on the coastwise on that trade. Also the express ships that typically go through the Northern Europe run, from the States to Northern Europe, and then they come back to the States. And some of the other ships, typically they call them trampers, as I spoke about a little bit earlier, like the heavy lift ships that I worked on for Crowley. Now those ships, they pretty much go everywhere. But also too, I just want to kind of point out too that we're involved in an array of things outside of just sending goods. We cater to the needs of, when you start talking about PR 480, which is food for peace, making sure that we're sending those commodities on U.S. contracted vessels to certain countries that don't have the same luxuries and benefits that we have. You talk about cargo preference program, and then we talk about our the Jones Act as well, just making sure that these vessels that we're on are built, manned, and or one-man crewed with U.S. citizens and or permanent residents as well.
So we got Doreen.
I have a question for both of you guys, because here with the Seafarers Center and also in my office with AOS-USA, we get a lot of calls from people who, well, one they think that we're the Longshoremen Association, or they think that we supply seafarers, but we don't. We help direct them. But one thing I always wonder for both of you is, how do you help guide people into the area that they will be good, that they will excel in and that they will enjoy? Because there's so many different facets of the maritime industry. I mean, Kevin, you've just mentioned all the different types of vessels that you've been on, and then there are also the land-based segments of the maritime industry. So how do you help them navigate that?
Captain Horn, let me go to you first on that one.
Sure. We when they first come into the school, they fill out a questionnaire to give us an idea of what they're interested in doing. The first semester that we do is their BST, STCW BST, and it helps them identify. Again, that's primarily for safety aspects, but during that process, with some of their homework projects that they have, you can tell a lot about a person about the way they answer questions. If they give you a paragraph on something, they're pretty interested in it. If they give you a 2-word answer, they're like, well, let's just get this over with. So you can tell a lot, and we counsel them a lot during the semester. I'm always available, and I ask a lot of questions. How did you hear of us? What would you like to do? Where do you want to go? And what do you want to do? We have forklift training at the school. We have welding training at the school. We have business courses at the college also. So we have a wide array at Lamar State College Orange. There's a wide array of courses that they can take that directly commit to the maritime industry, including a truck driving school. We have our simulation system that we use for. I can use it for lookouts. I can also use it for we train Coast Guard personnel for their bosun's certificate or license, and there's a lot of different ways that we screen the people and talk to them and figure out what how best we can serve them. Number one, it makes us better and it makes their career more enjoyable if they like doing what they're doing.
Yeah. So Kevin, how do you guys help the guys discern, or the men and women discern where they want to go into? Because the SIU has harbor tugs. They've got ferries up in New York and other places. They've got deep sea. They've got numerous different type Crowley, the towing that used to take place, and the ATVs, the articulated tug barge combinations. There's all these different things. Plus you have engine room, deck department, and stewards department to work into. Young man, woman, I want to go to sea. We've heard that here at the Seafarers Center. And our question is always, okay, so what do you want to do? And then you have to walk them through that process. How do you walk them through that process?
Well, typically what we try to do is try to get a feel of, where you located demographically. What are you more inclined to want to do? So we have men and women who typically the ones who live in Texas, most cases outside of the city limits, those mariners are typically gonna want to work maybe harbor tug. So then I could, push the conversation and talking to them about some of the benefits of working for harbor tugs versus being shipped out internationally. So the harbor tugs, G&H, for example, or Seabolt as an example, or maybe even some of the Crowley ATVs. And I think it's more about just trying to build that relationship to see where they're more inclined to want to go. For the more adventurous individuals, I typically encourage them to ship out deep sea because it gives you an opportunity to work in all three departments, kind of see the world as well, and figure out, hey, look, is this a fit for me or not? And if it's not, if shipping out internationally is not your thing, then we can cater to those needs and trying to get those men and women in our harbor tug division, which are pretty good to say the least. They're competitive wages, but I think it's more about trying to get a feel of what's going to help that individual be as successful as they can at the highest potential that they have. Again, when we're talking about some of the harbor tug divisions, we're talking about G&H, you're talking about Seabolt, or you're talking about maybe Crowley, the ATB division, or maybe Penn Maritime in that division. So there's an array of opportunities in some of the inland divisions, as well as the deep sea divisions, that we typically try to encourage them and have that conversation to see where they're more inclined. Sort of like what I talked about a little bit earlier, it's much more different than the traditional jobs that you have at some of the companies outside of the maritime industry, where it's as soon as you apply, you know what you're doing and you're kind of stuck there. This industry is a lot different, and I'm sure Captain Homer can attest to that as well, just as well as you could too, Father. When you come into this industry, it's so broad and there's so many people and it's so diverse that it really opens you up to saying, hey, look, it would behoove me to be open to what those opportunities may be, to know, because some individuals may say, hey, look, I love shipping out deep sea, but now I want to change of scenery. I want to be somewhere a little bit closer to home, and so then I would encourage them to want to sell in the capacity of one of the harbor tugs or maybe ATB divisions that are in the inland or coastwise trade.
Touch on that subject. I really take pride. Young man, God, that's been 23 years ago. Was graduating from high school, had wanted to go into the Army to play in the band. And the Army said, just sign up and then you can test to go into the band. It's like, unless they put it in your contract, don't do it. And so he went to Piney Point.
Mhm.
He had difficulty the first time around, but he eventually finished up there. And his name's, Edmund Living sails out of Houston. And Edmund came out of Port Arthur, and his first trip was on a grain ship to Tel Aviv. And so here's this young man who grew up here in Port Arthur, and he graduates from high school, and about a year after high school, he comes back home with a significant amount of income in his pocket, seeing his friends still sort of dragging their knuckles and hanging out on the corner. And it's like, hey, Edmund, where you been? Well, I've been to the Black Sea, and I've been to Tel Aviv, Israel. And they had no idea where those places were to begin with. But here was this young man who had been part of their group, but having been able to go into the maritime industry, started to discover this whole thing. And now 23 years into the industry, he's going to soon be able to retire, or at least complete his full retirement package, so that he can either leave the industry and then later on receive that package.
And I would add, like, for our community, it's great because Edmund is now still living here in Port Arthur. He's a homeowner, he has a family, he's being a responsible citizen, and it's only been very good for our community that he went into that field. And as y'all said, there's so many things he can do with it. If he did decide to retire from going to sea, if he wants to be here more with his family, he can move into so many different areas. So it's maritime is an area where there's great opportunities to move and change and not be in the same old rut all the time.
Now, I do want to come back, because I said I was going to talk to Chris, Captain Corner, about what do you mean by the dual credit program? You were talking about high school people and graduate and stuff like that.
Right. Our dual credit program is a program that the high schools have with 2-year and some 4-year colleges, where they're allowed to take college courses during their junior and senior year of high school. So, like my course is 15 college credits, which are transferable to any other college in the United States, and they can come in as a junior and take one course a semester, and over the 4 semesters of their junior and senior year, finish up their 15 credit certificate program and graduate from college actually a couple of days before they graduate from high school with a certificate and able to go to work, and they'll have their STCW or STCW BST completed, so they can turn that into the Coast Guard and get their STCW, their Z card, and go to their medical card and be able to go to work. Or they can do it 2 courses as a senior, do 2 classes a semester and be done again a couple weeks before they graduate high school. Or they can, out of high school, they can do it in 1 semester if they choose. And we're continually building the program, or we're working on an agreement with Texas A&M University in Galveston, where our students, when they're done with 2 years at our school, they'll go directly to A&M Galveston, and with little to no lost time or lost credit toward getting their 4-year degree out of Texas A&M Galveston at the Maritime Academy down there, which is an awesome program. We're currently in the process of bringing our 2nd semester online. It's all that stuff is getting ready to go to the coordinating board for approval, so we can teach it for credit. I'm expanding. We had just a few students last semester, 6 students this semester, where the projections are for about 20 students next semester. So we're constantly growing. The word's getting out. I'm looking for instructors. So if that gentleman you were just speaking of is looking for something to do besides go to sea, give him my phone number. I got a job for him.
Yep. But I want to thank both of you guys for being with us today, but also to tell those who are watching that if you stay on at the end of this video, we will have both a video for Piney Point and also a short video for Lamar State College Orange that can give you more information. Plus, we'll have links on the YouTube page where this will appear, so that you can go directly to the link to the Harry Lundberg School, the Seafarers Union webpage, Lamar State College's webpage in general, and specifically for the Maritime Training School. And it's really exciting to have these resources again, so that we can begin to move people back into this industry that was so important for the livelihood of this community. From the very beginning, it was a port city that was established because it was had access to deep water, and for about the last 25 or 30 years, because of changes in shipping, buying out of companies disappearing, those opportunities to get jobs have disappeared. But now we can begin to rebuild those things and offer these really great jobs. I look forward to those opportunities as a priest whenever I can get back to sea, and even whether it's driving the Ivory Bill or the Big Picket Association as a 100-ton captain, or maybe getting on a training ship, or maybe getting back in the merchant marine. For me, it has taken me to Curacao. It's taken me to Central America.
Through the Panama
It's
Canal.
taken me to the Panama Canal. It's taken me all along the Gulf and the East Coast. So I look back on my own maritime career, and it's been a great blessing that have allowed me to do stuff which they would never allow me to do dressed this way. And that is drive a 650-foot loaded tanker with jet fuel down the Houston Ship Channel. They would never let me dress this way. But if I wear a t-shirt and khakis, I'm good to go. I want to thank, in a very special way, as we're closing out this first podcast, that we will continue by having, tomorrow we will be having Larry Kelly from the Port of Port Arthur, Lori Taylor from the Port of Orange, and Mick Coward, who will be talking about the state of our ports in Southeast Texas, and especially the southern reaches of the Sabine-Neches waterway. Wednesday, it is going to be Women on the Water, and so we'll have Captain Augusta Roth from Texas Maritime Academy, as well as Erin Bertram, who is the Vice President for the Marine Engineer Beneficiaries Association out of Galveston. Thursday, we have Captain Jerry Pennell, as well as Dave Heindel, talking about maritime labor, as well as the Jones Act. And then on Friday, we found out that Admiral Busby, who is the administrator for the Maritime Administration, will be doing a special Maritime Day program beginning at, I believe, 9:30 Central Standard Time, 10:30 Eastern Time. And so we'll be linking to that on YouTube so that that'll be connected also. So again, I want to thank the Port of Port Arthur for being the sponsor for this, the Nautical Institute, Houston Gulf Branch, Council of American Master Mariners, both in Galveston and Houston, Propeller Club of the Ports of Sabine, RightShips, Apostleship of the Sea USA, the Port Arthur International Seafarers Center, West Gulf Maritime Association, as well as the Apostleship of the Sea Diocese of Beaumont, and most of all, Kevin Sykes and also Captain Horner for you guys being with us today on this program. So thanks for being with us. Let's work to make this opportunity for work in the U.S. Merchant Marine continue to grow in our country. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Father. Hey, Father, can I just say one thing real quick? We're located at 625 North York Street, Houston, Texas 77003. Currently, right now, because of the COVID-19 mandate, we are still doing business as usual, but the doors aren't open to the public. So if there's anybody who has any questions or any inquiries, they can always reach us at 713-659-5152, or you can send us an email to houston@seafarers.org. And we will definitely reply. We had an individual who called this morning who inquired about an opportunity in maritime, and so giving a phone call or shoot us an email is always a good option to make sure you can reach us. We want to make sure we're doing what we can for our folks in Texas. We don't want to miss out on opportunities or have men and women in Texas miss out on opportunities, whether it be with Cap Homer or somebody that you referred to us, or somebody that is just looking for a new career. So we want to make sure we're catering to those needs as well.
And with Doreen's help, I will remember those things, and we will actually post that information on the YouTube, on the bottom of the YouTube announcement on that. So thank you very much, guys, and please join us on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, also for our program. So as we celebrate National Maritime Week in anticipation of National Maritime Day, May 22nd. God bless.
God bless.
In rural southern Maryland, not far from the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, sits the most comprehensive maritime training school in the country.
Disembark!
On this 100-acre site in St. Mary's County, the Seafarers International Union trains the current and next generation of men and women needed to serve on U.S.-flagged merchant marine ships and on vessels run by the U.S. Military Sealift Command. The Coast Guard requires it.
Whether they're transitioning from the military or they're just coming in as entry-level cadets in our apprentice program, they mandate training before you can sail.
Like, people think everything comes from Walmart, which it really doesn't. Everything comes on a ship, right?
Ricky Rivera has been on dozens of these massive container vessels. He comes back to Paul Hall Center to upgrade his skills and certifications. At any given time, there are several classes of budding mariners here, enrolled in the center's extensive registered apprentice program. Some are very young, like Dylan Anderson.
I just graduated high school.
Others, like Daniel Bynum, are older, with the sea in their genes.
I come from a family of Great Lakes sailors. I'd be the fourth generation.
And what experiences these young people have in their registered apprentice program, like learning to fight fires.
In this exercise as well, they're getting fundamentals as to when you're on a hose line, when you're in a different position, what your job is at each position. So we have a nozzle person, a backup person, and a backup team.
They become adept at swimming to lifeboats and rowing them too. They practice rescuing victims in the water and plugging leaks in mock engine rooms flooding from accidents at sea. They become expert with ropes.
Stand the bowling knot.
They study welding and how to take apart valves and pumps. And in simulators, they pilot ships in a variety of weather conditions and respond to emergencies in the engine room.
We can simulate a loss of lube oil, loss of fuel oil, a loss of an engine, loss of power, loss of control of steering. Anything we can do out there, we can do here.
Apprentice stewards learn to chop, peel, cook, plan menus, and order supplies to keep crews well fed even when the boat is rocking.
So you need to take some safety steps so that when the ship does take a roll, things don't begin to fly off of shelves and create accidents and people get injured.
That's why discipline, from making hospital corners to obeying commands, is such a major part of the culture and training.
When you're out in the middle of the ocean, you're not going to get much of a signal. So if you can't adapt and conform here with the program while they're on deck, they're going to have a real hard time struggling on the ship because they're not going to have that capability.
After an initial 15 weeks here at Piney Point, all apprentices hit the high seas.
You do 3 months on the ship in each department: deck, galley, engine. And then from there you come back to the school, you decide which department you want to go into from your experience on those 3 months.
But engine was the most interesting, and I could see myself doing long term.
A former Marine, Levon Prophet, wants to be a container ship captain.
I think I'm prepared for it. I think I'm ready for it.
Where have you been?
Pretty much all over Europe. I just made it to the Middle East this past voyage. I've been to Asia.
I went to Greece, Suda Bay, Greece, Athens, Greece. Great food over there.
I got to go to Belgium and Germany and the UK.
I would like to travel the world, and I would like to travel for free, so that the school gives me the opportunity to do all of this.
And acquire skills that can be applied on land too.
I could definitely sous chef. I don't have to work at the franchise restaurants. I can actually work at a professional restaurant with fine cuisine because of training through this school.
Because most merchant mariners are at sea 3/4 of the year, their family time is limited, but completely their own.
When I'm home, I get to do everything with them. You know, like I was just home for 2 months, 24 hours a day. So it's awesome quality time.
The training and lodging here are free, paid for by the major domestic shipping lines that contract with the Seafarers International Union to provide them with well-qualified employees.
Someone who wants to be in control of their own destiny, someone who wants to be in a situation where they're guaranteed advancement, someone who is going to embrace the lifestyle of a merchant mariner are the type of people who should come.
For more information on the Registered Apprentice Program at the Paul Hall Center for Maritime Training and Education, visit seafarers.org. The challenge, the travel, and the opportunity to learn, earn, and grow starts here.
I'm Tom Johnson, President, Lamar State College Orange, and I'd like to personally invite you to join us this summer. Whether you need 1 or 2 transferable courses or a certificate or degree, we are here for you. With our online classes and the new 25% reduction in tuition, you can make the most during these uncertain times. Please visit us on our website at lsco.edu.